You ever wondered how understanding your emotions could take your relationships, career, or even your happiness to the next level? Well, let's find out by diving into the game changing world of emotional intelligence. Get ready to level up. Welcome to the Personal Development Blueprint, the podcast that's all about leveling up and helping you become the best version of yourself. I'm your host, Jay Cope. Join me as we talk about different tools and strategies to help you navigate through everyday life, creating a blueprint for your personal growth. Let's get into it. We are back, y'all. This is episode 3. And if you haven't already checked out the last episode about self-doubt, I highly recommend it. It goes hand in hand with this episode. Now, imagine that you are in a big business meeting or maybe a family dinner and the tension is running just a little bit high. What's the one skill that could not only save, but make the situation better? That's right, emotional intelligence, or EI for short. So throughout the episode, you might hear me say EI. Just know that I'm talking about emotional intelligence. Today, we're going to dig into what EI is, why it's super important for your personal growth, and how you can work on boosting it. Let's jump right in. So studies show only about 36% of people in the world are emotionally intelligent. So the fact that you even here trying to learn more about it, that's going to help put you in that 36%. First of all, what is emotional intelligence? Pretty much it's the ability to recognize, understand, manage, and use our emotions in a positive way. Keyword, positive way. I know it's easier for a lot of us to use them in a negative way, but we want to use them to our advantage, to relieve stress, help us communicate, and overcome challenges. Now, I know that was a mouthful, but just think of EI as the secret sauce to helping you deal with other people. Let's break it down into 2 parts. We got self-awareness and then we got self-management. Self-awareness is like being your own psychologist. A lot of us experience those voices in our head, some that motivate us and some that talk down on us. When you recognize that those voices are there, you become self-aware. If you don't have self-awareness, it's like you stuck on autopilot. Prime example, man, when I leave the gym, my body is craving food, or at least that's what I tell myself. I'm in Hulk smash mode. So I used to go to the grocery store right after the gym. Bad idea. And I will fill my cart with all kind of sweets and foods that I had no business eating. Then I would go home and then I eat till my stomach felt like it was going to bust. Instantly regretted it. I was on autopilot. Now, after doing this about 50 times, I stopped going to the grocery store after the gym. It took me a minute. Some lessons take a minute for me to learn. I stopped going to the grocery store after the gym. I would go home instead and then eat my meal prep. I became more self-aware. So the more self-aware you are, the more choice you have. Now, self-management, that's about staying in control. When you're feeling angry, self-management helps you keep that Hulk inside you on a leash. When you get upset or you get irritated about a situation, ask yourself this one question. Is this caused by the situation or is this caused by what my mind is telling me about the situation? I'm going to say it again. When you get upset or irritated about a situation, ask yourself, is this caused by the situation? Or is this caused by what my mind is telling me about the situation? And then 9 times out of 10, it's the mental conversation that we having in our head. Now, one thing that helped me with self-management is a quote that I heard by it was a German philosopher named Eckhart Tolle. I was listening to one of his seminars on YouTube and he said, the ego needs a reaction. What I got from that is, y'all ever heard the term, don't fight fire with fire? So pretty much this is what he was saying. In our human nature, our ego needs a reaction. So just think of it like this. If there's somebody that's upset, if you approach the situation And if they upset and if you get upset back at them, it only makes the situation worse. So the ego needs a reaction. It feeds off of that. You know, you fighting fire with fire. The ego is like the fire. So if you throw in more fire in the fire, it's only going to make it, bigger. A few weeks ago, I'm on my way to work, and it was another one of those days where I was just I was in a good mood, man. You couldn't tell me nothing that day. I'm riding on the freeway, headed to work. I'm listening to a little bit of Evelyn Champagne King. I'm grooving, man. I'm grooving. So I'm in the fast lane and I'm driving. I look in my rear view and there's a guy. He is all up on my bumper, driving so close to me. So I'm like, okay, this guy, he's flashing his lights and I can see it in my rear view. I can tell he want me to speed up. Now I'm already going, the speed limit 70. I'm already doing 80. So this guy had to be doing well over that. Normally I would get over to my right, but there was no space for me to get over. The car to the side of me, they actually sped up. So there was room for him to pull up on the side of me. Now, remember, the ego needs a reaction. I know this guy was looking for a reaction from me, and I know better, man. I know better. I know that this guy was trying to get a reaction out of me. So the guy, he pulls up on the side of me. Now, I'm still listening to my music. I'm looking straight ahead. You know how you can just feel somebody looking at you out the side, like from your peripheral? And I know better not to even give that any attention. I know not to give his ego reaction. I know these things, but I don't know. Something about today just made me do the opposite. So pretty much the guy, I can tell he's looking at me off the side, and then he pulls up almost in front of me, but enough just for I can see his face. And then he sticks his thumb out the window. And what do? I stick my thumb back up. And let me tell y'all, this guy swerved directly in front of me and he slammed on his brakes. I had to smash my brake, and I barely swerved around him. I almost crashed into the wall, and I saw my light flash before my eye. That was crazy. Just that split second. And then the guy pulled off. I gave his ego the reaction. Had I just looked straight ahead, not even looked at this guy like I normally would do, none of that would never happen. That could have ended badly. I could have lost my life. Therefore, just because I reacted in a split second. So it was just one of those lessons learned. Again, I know better. Not sure why I did it that day. I don't know. I can't explain it, but I might have went on autopilot that day, but it was just one of those things where you can't give the ego reaction. So remember, the ego needs a reaction. If you find yourself in situations where people are upset, and we see it all the time with road rage and different things like that, don't give the ego a reaction. It's not worth it. Be the bigger person, take the high road, and you never know what the other person's got going on. That guy probably had nothing to live for. And here I go, giving his ego reaction, giving him the chance to ruin my life. But just something to keep in mind. The ego needs a reaction. Now, so why is all of this important? Just think about it. We live in a social world, and a lot of our success or our happiness, it relies on how well we interact with other people. Emotional intelligence can help us navigate our social environment with a little bit of finesse, from our personal relationships to our professional ones. Now, the big question, how do you boost your EI? Well, one of the most effective ways is to start with reflection. And one way that I do this is by keeping a journal or making notes in my phone about my emotional responses. And when I'm in a better mood, I go back and then I look for patterns of what triggered me and how it affected my behavior. Just like with the driver that cut me off, when I was in a better mood, I started reflecting and thinking about what I could have done differently or how it could have ended badly. And I realized that it wasn't worth me even just putting my thumb back up. And I thought about what triggered me, and it was my ego. I felt like he was trying to make me out to be a little punk. And I know that's not the correct way to look at the situation, but I went on autopilot for that quick second. So that just lets you know that this is ongoing work. So yeah, keep you a journal and go back and reflect and then look for those patterns. Next, we got mindfulness. I always talk about mindfulness, being present in the moment. When you do this, it helps you be more aware of the emotional state that you're currently in. So practice mindfulness. And one of the easiest ways to get into the present moment, or one of the quickest entry points into the present moment, is just looking around and noticing what's around you. For example, if you're in a room Notice that there's a window there. Look at your palm. Count the lines inside of your palm. Look at the colors on the wall. Like just noticing your surroundings and what's around you. That helps you be more present in the moment. And then that can help quiet those voices too, because you focusing on what's in front of you. And then lastly, learning to show empathy. This just means putting yourself in the other person's shoes. Now, I've gotten better at this, but this one can be tough, especially if we feel like somebody's offending us. That's why it's important to recognize what triggers us. If we don't take it personal, it can help keep us calm in the situation, and then we can see where the other person is coming from. And there you have it, a simple introduction to emotional intelligence. Remember, self-awareness, being aware of those voices in your head, self-management, controlling those voices, and then boost your EI by journaling so you can reflect on what triggers you. Stay present in the moment so that you are aware of your emotions when they're happening. And then show empathy by putting yourself in other people's shoes. Remember, y'all, emotional intelligence is not something that you're born with. It's a skill. And like all skills, you got to practice to get better at it. Make sure y'all tune into the next episode. We're going to be talking more about what personal development actually is and how you can get started on your journey no matter where you at in your life. Thank you for joining us on the Personal Development Blueprint. We appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you picked up a nugget or two to supercharge your personal growth. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. We would love to hear some of your feedback. And remember, every little win counts on the road to becoming the best version of yourself. So stay focused, keep pushing forward, and you will keep leveling up. Key.